had a big old winter snowstorm, and you think that would mean that I would be able to read a lot more. I have kids, and one of those kids, her school was canceled. So I didn't actually read as much as I wanted to, but that's okay. It was also the month of colds, so we're just a little bit behind, and it was sort of for me, so let's just dive in. I ended up being in a big old reading slump. Um, and part of that, and I have to be honest, I was reading Heavenly Tyrant. This is the second book in the Iron Widow series. And I loved Iron Widow. I thought it was really cool. I liked how it was Chinese history inspired. I liked the Dragon Ball Z mecha influence. It was really neat. It was futuristic, and there was big old twists and turns. Heavenly Tyrant felt like a bit of a mess. This one got delayed in publishing and delayed and delayed and delayed. And I don't know if there was something that happened in the writing. I have no idea. But there was so much going on, and yet I couldn't really follow anything. I ended up DNFing it at about 50%. And this is a big book. And every time I thought about it, I have to read it, I have to read it. I didn't want to. And then I didn't want to read. So I was in a big slump, and unfortunately, it had to be a DNF for me. And that's my review, that it just wasn't as coherent as the first one. The very first book that I read, though, thankfully, was delightful, and that was The Sinister Revenge, and this is the 8th book in the Veronica Speedwell series. This is just fun. This is like Victorian mystery, lady scientist and her hot companion, Stoker, and their adventures. And I really liked this one. I liked this location. There wasn't a lot of the rapport between Stoker and Veronica, but I felt like the journey of the book was really good, and I really enjoyed the setup of the mystery and then the fallout of the mystery. So I really enjoyed this one. This was a 4 stars for me. Then I read Time Travelers. This is one of my top 10 books to read. These are stories written by Palestinian diaspora, so people who have come from Palestine. I think this is a Canadian published work, and I enjoyed a few of the stories. Other ones kind of fell flat for me, but I really enjoyed Down Under, Generation Ship, and Gazaluna. Those ones were the top ones for me. They felt the strongest, they felt the most coherent, they felt really well crafted. So because there was such a range of writers in this one, I only gave this short stories a 3 star, but I think the ones that I mentioned were 5-star short stories. Then I listened to The High House. This one has been on my list for a while, and it's that Emily St. John Mandel kind of writing of quiet, dystopian, eco climate change disaster. And this is a very quiet story. It is set up that, of course, things are going wrong, and there's fires and there's floods and there's storms popping up, and it's told mostly from this girl's perspective, and she has this little brother, and she's looking after him the whole time, and her parents seem to be pretty absent, but it turns out they've been absent because they've been setting up a house, the High House, on a hill out of the way, and setting it up in such a way that they can survive on their own with seeds and water and garden area and just like anything that you need, clothing, crafting supplies, like literally anything that children would need to grow up. And unfortunately, these parents aren't able to experience it with them. So there are some village elders that also come and live at the house with the kids, helping them kind of grow up and garden and live together. I really enjoyed the writing of this one. The only thing that I think that I struggled the most with was the non-linear way that it was told. Accidentally done this in the past. I have put audiobooks on shuffle, and this one felt like I had put it on shuffle, and I didn't. And that didn't work for me. So unfortunately, it ended up being just like a 3 stars. But I think it was really good. The writing was really good. The story was really good. But it's stars just because the formatting just did not propel it forward. And I would recommend it though. If you are a fan of kind of climate change, disaster novels, but with that a little bit more cozy, one on one person feel, this is definitely the one for you. So, this is my year of Return of the Queen. Trying to get back into fantasy, and so I was like, oh, I heard about this book a while back. I'm going to listen to this one, A Curse So Dark and Lonely. So many people were talking about this one. Oh, it's so great. I would call this an early predecessor of romantasy. Now, is romantasy for me? I don't know. Like, I like the Sarah J. Maas stuff. I was a big old fan when all the stuff was first coming out. I'm considering rereading the stuff because seriously, it has staying power. But this one didn't work for me. Like, I gave it a 3 stars, but I think it's leaning more towards like 2.5 now. The more that I'm distancing myself from it, it was too long and to just kind of meander and go nowhere. And like, I understood that she wanted to create. So, okay, back up. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling where this girl gets sort of like whisked away to this fantasy land. So she's in Washington, D.C., and she gets whisked away, and her brother's like in trouble, but and her mom's dying, but like, yeah, she gets whisked away to this castle in the middle of like wherever, some sort of parallel universe kind of portal fantasy. There, of course, is the Beast, but we don't know he's the Beast. But we, the reader, are like, okay, yeah, we know. Like, thinly veiled here. But she's all, oh my goodness, what's this beast they're all talking about? Right. There's a possible love triangle, which I don't, not my favorite. There's a guard and the prince, and she kind of goes back and forth between the two of them and bonding with them. I think the thing that a lot of people attached with this one is that the main character has cerebral palsy, and I think that's really cool. And there are some discussions in the book about it. I wanted there to be more. And I wanted there to just be a bit more like delve into it instead of like, oh yeah, I have this, or I've already been through a bunch of surgeries, like nothing's gonna bother me. Like this little injury I can deal with. Like I like that. I just wanted a little bit more. Like it needed to just go a little bit deeper for me. The baddie felt a little bit juvenile. I don't know if this is a YA or not. It certainly read young. I won't be continuing this one. And this is not the return of the romantasy that I wanted. So I've got some other ones on my radar. So I'm hoping to go there. And if these ones don't fulfill it for me, I'm going back to Sarah. Then I listened to the short story novella by Robin Wall Kimmerer, The Service Berry. This was wonderful. As you know, I do gardening and flower gardening, and I've just been really into plants. Robin Wall Kimmerer wrote Braiding Sweetgrass, and I read that a couple years back, and I really enjoyed it. And this one I think I enjoyed a little bit more because she uses the service berry as an example of what a gift economy is like and what that would look like in our world. And I think this would be important for everybody to read, whether you're into plants or not. The idea of gift economy, where you giving someone something gives them enough good feeling and goodwill that it's more likely to be reciprocal or they're going to come back with something else. I really like this one. This was a 5 star. I would highly recommend anybody to delve into this one. It's just 2 hours to read. Listen, highly recommend it. And my last book, it was another top 10 read, and that was not Tyranny of Faith, Trials of Empire by Richard Swan. Ah, yeah, yeah. He's the man. He's the man. Oh my God. Okay, so here's the deal. I was reading Heavenly Tyrant, and I was in a book slump. And I just thought, I'm going to the library and I'm going and getting Trials of the Empire right now. And I went and I picked it up and I started reading it. And let me tell you, good writing makes all the difference. Within the first chapter, I was like, I'm done. Like this is a 5-star read. Like the quality of writing, the quality of attention to character, world building, it's just there. Richard Swan kills it every time. I have loved all of his books. I've got Justice of Kings, Tyranny of Faith, this third book in this series, Trials of Empire. Knocks it out of the park. This is easily a 5-star. This is like an all-time favorite trilogy. He just came out with a new book. That one's automatically on my list. He is an incredible writer. This is a world where we are following the narrator who is a clerk to a justice, and the justice is like a judge who kind of travels around and delivers the king's justice to everybody. And kind of things go south. And by the third book, he finds himself as kind of regent of the whole empire. And she's basically like trying to keep things together. And this is wild. And there is like eldritch demons and like an other world. And this reminded me of Sabriel and the idea of going into a nether region. And I guess like Stranger Things too. And it just felt so like oh, it was so gripping. Now I think some people term this as horror, and I would agree. I wasn't really scared by anything, but like it was terrifying. Like a lot of stuff happens, and you fear for the main characters at all times, and that is fantastic writing. Swan has now ruined me for many endings. This was the most satisfying ending I have read in a book in a long, long time. And I don't want to give anything away, but it was one of those endings where he could have so easily gone in the direction that was predictable, and then he shifted and did something different that I haven't seen, and it felt way more satisfying, and it felt like justice was delivered. I it I'm at a loss for words. So good. I'm gonna cry. It was so good. So thank you, Richard, for like making my January end up being really good for reading. Wow. Probably one of the best trilogies I've read in such a long time. Okay, get it together. That was my January wrap up. Those are the books that I read. Weird and different, and I have been thinking on a few things and changing things on this channel, so like keep an eye out for an update video. Until then, my name is Karen. I am the book Liberaut. I love exploring all types of books. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon. Bye.